All right, so let's dive in. Today we're tackling Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
A classic for a reason.
You know it. And you've already shared some really interesting notes and thoughts on the book,
Yeah,
which tells me you're ready to go deeper.
definitely.
That's where we come in. We're going to unlock those core principles of Hill's philosophy and see how they connect to your world, like right now, not just in theory.
It's about application, right?
Yes. So Hill starts off strong with this idea of desire, but, and this is important, he's not talking about just casually wanting something.
Right.
It's more than that. He's talking about burning, like an obsessive kind of passion, like this thing that you want. It consumes you. It fuels your actions, everything.
It's interesting because Hill actually provides a framework to cultivate that burning desire and really shape it into a force.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I've got to hear this.
So he outlines 6 steps to turn desire into riches, basically.
All right, let's hear those steps because, I know you've got some insights to add on top of that.
Well, it starts with defining the exact amount of money you want.
Okay.
Now, that might sound a little materialistic, but it's about getting crystal clear on that target. What is it you want?
Okay.
Next, determine what you're willing to give in return. Success takes effort, sacrifice, dedication. Then you set a deadline, a definite one, and that kind of injects urgency. It prevents procrastination.
Okay.
The 4th step is to create a detailed plan. Don't just dream it, map it out.
Yes.
5th, write it all down. This is huge. Putting pen to paper solidifies your commitment.
It makes it real.
It does. And finally, and this is key, review your written statement every day. This repetition keeps those goals front and center in your mind.
That's like a psychological trick, right? To program your subconscious.
Yeah.
That daily review.
Exactly. Hill was onto something with the power of the subconscious, way before it became mainstream. He knew that by consistently feeding your mind with your desires, you're more likely to attract them into your reality.
Okay, so we've got this fire of desire burning. What comes next?
Well, Hill then introduces faith. And I know this word can be loaded, but he's not talking about religion here.
Okay.
He's talking about a deep belief in yourself, your goals, and the possibility of achieving them.
It's that confidence that lets you push through, right? The doubts.
Yeah.
The setbacks.
Exactly. Hill was adamant that faith is a state of mind you can cultivate. And that brings us to autosuggestion.
No, there's a word you don't hear every day. Break that down for me.
Sure. So it's basically positive self-talk, consciously feeding your mind with affirmations, things that reinforce your beliefs and your goals.
Got it.
And by repeating these positive statements, you reprogram your subconscious to align with your desired outcomes. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Reminds me of that saying, what you think, you become.
Exactly. Hill was ahead of his time. In recognizing how thoughts, beliefs, and actions are all connected, he understood that by controlling your thoughts, you can actually shape your reality.
Okay, so we've got desire. We've got faith. But I have a feeling we need more than just willpower and positive thinking to make things happen.
You're right, and Hill knew that. He brings in another crucial element, specialized knowledge. And he makes a clear distinction between general knowledge and the kind of expertise that directly applies to your goals.
So it's not about just being well-read. It's about, like, real specific skills.
Exactly. Think about it. If your goal is to build an online business, reading about ancient philosophy, while interesting, might not get you there.
Right.
You need specialized knowledge, digital marketing, e-commerce, those kinds of things.
So it's about really focused learning.
Okay.
And then there's imagination.
Right.
But Hill breaks that down even further, doesn't he?
He does. He talks about synthetic imagination, which is about combining existing ideas in new ways. And then there's creative imagination, which taps into a deeper level, like intuition, generates truly original concepts.
Okay, so if I'm getting this right, synthetic imagination is like remixing a song. And creative imagination is like writing a whole new symphony.
That's a great way to put it. Hill emphasizes that every invention, every groundbreaking idea starts in the imagination. It's the birthplace of creation. But he doesn't stop there. He reminds us that having brilliant ideas isn't enough. We need to translate them into action.
So that's where organized planning comes in. We have to put those creative sparks into a structured plan.
Exactly. Hill stresses the importance of outlining those goals, setting deadlines, developing a step-by-step roadmap to achieve your vision. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, but it's not all about solo efforts, right? Hill brings in the mastermind principle here.
Absolutely. He was a huge believer in collaboration, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals to support you, challenge you, contribute their expertise. All of that is essential for success. It's like having a brain trust to help you navigate the complexities of your journey.
I love that. And then there's decision, which I know can be a tough one.
Oh, yeah. Hill was adamant about making decisions quickly and sticking to them.
You know, it's funny. I was looking at your notes before we started, and you mentioned that indecision is something you often feel paralyzed by.
It's true. I've got ideas for this new project, but taking that first step, oof.
I hear you. I think Hill would say that overthinking often leads to inaction.
He probably would.
It's about trusting your gut, making a decision, and moving forward confidently.
Powerful stuff.
Especially for someone like you, who's brimming with ideas, but sometimes struggles to execute them.
It's a work in progress.
And speaking of pushing through challenges, that brings us to what might be the most crucial principle of all: persistence.
This is where grit comes in, determination. Hill reminds us that success rarely comes easy. It's about having the tenacity to keep going, even when you face obstacles, setbacks, failures.
He uses that classic example of Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed attempts before he perfected the light bulb.
Exactly. Edison's story is a perfect illustration of the power of persistence. It's about viewing those failures not as defeats, but as learning experiences, paving the way to ultimate success.
And Hill doesn't just tell us to be persistent. He gives us steps to cultivate this quality.
He does. It starts with having a definite purpose, that burning desire we talked about earlier. Then the belief, the faith that you can achieve it. Third, a clear plan, a roadmap. And finally, the habit of consistent effort, showing up even when it's tough.
So persistence is more than willpower. It's about vision, belief, commitment.
You got it. And you know, we touched on the mastermind principle earlier, but Hill dedicates a whole chapter to it later in the book.
You're right. So it's really its own standalone principle.
It is that power of collaboration, that supportive network. It's a recurring theme throughout the book. And then we come to a principle that, well, it requires some sensitivity and context.
You're right about sex transmutation, right? It's one of those principles that raises eyebrows in today's world.
It does. It's important to remember that Hill was writing in a different time, with different norms. But if we look beyond the literal interpretation, there's a valuable principle there about channeling energy and drive.
So instead of viewing it through a purely sexual lens, it's about harnessing that intensity.
Yes, and redirecting it towards your goals, your creative output, your ambition.
Taking that powerful force and channeling it into something positive.
Exactly. It's about aligning your inner fire with your aspirations. Okay, so we've covered the first 9 principles, from burning desire to persistence. But Hill doesn't stop there. He takes us even deeper.
Where to?
Into the mind, the subconscious mind. He believes the subconscious mind shapes everything: our beliefs, our habits, our reality. And what's fascinating is that he suggests we can program it consciously.
Wait, so we're not just stuck with whatever programming we've got?
Not at all. It's not about suppressing negative thoughts or pretending they don't exist. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the positive stuff, the empowering beliefs.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? Like reprogram our subconscious? Hill suggests tools, affirmations, visualization. By repeatedly affirming your desired outcome and really vividly imagining yourself achieving it, you basically imprint it on your subconscious.
It's like planting seeds, right? If you plant seeds of doubt, that's what's going to grow.
Exactly.
But if you cultivate the soil with positive thoughts and beliefs, you're setting yourself up for success.
Perfect analogy. And that leads us to Hill's next principle, which builds on this whole idea of subconscious programming, the brain as a broadcasting and receiving station.
Okay, now that sounds kind of sci-fi. Tell me more about this broadcasting station.
Basically, Hill compares the brain to a radio. It can both transmit and receive thoughts. Our thoughts, he says, they act like these electromagnetic waves, attracting similar thoughts and circumstances into our lives.
So if you're dwelling on negativity and fear, you're basically broadcasting that and attracting more of the same.
Precisely. It's like tuning your radio to a station that plays nothing but sad songs. You're going to feel down, right? But if you consciously choose to focus on those positive thoughts, you're tuning into a different station. Hope, optimism, success, all that good stuff.
You know, it reminds me of the law of attraction, but applied to our thoughts and beliefs. I remember you mentioned you've been experimenting with visualization. What's that been like?
Honestly, it's been surprisingly effective. I started visualizing myself leading these presentations confidently, and I noticed a shift in my mindset, in how I actually performed. I used to get so nervous, but now I feel much more self-assured when I'm speaking.
It's a real thing, isn't it? The power of aligning your thoughts with what you want.
And this broadcasting station idea, it ties into Hill's final principle. It's probably the most intriguing one, the sixth sense.
Ooh, the sixth sense. That inner voice, right? The one that guides you even when logic can't explain it.
That's the one. Hill describes it as a highly developed intuition, something that emerges from understanding all the other principles: insight, experience, and awareness of your own subconscious.
So it's not just about following a hunch or a gut feeling. It's about developing a deeper awareness.
You got it. And he suggests that by mastering these other 12 principles, you can cultivate that sixth sense, that ability to sense opportunities and make decisions that align with your purpose.
It's like you're training your mind to pick up on things others might miss.
Exactly. You become more attuned to your inner wisdom, that voice that often whispers the right path, even if it seems illogical at first.
We've all had those moments, right, where something just feels right.
Yeah.
Or wrong, even if we can't explain it.
Exactly. And Hill says trust those nudges. Develop that sixth sense, and you tap into a deeper level of wisdom, the kind that can lead to amazing things. Going back to your notes, I remember you asked, how do I know if I'm on the right path?
Yeah, that's a question I think about a lot.
Well, Hill would say, if you're aligning your actions with your definite chief purpose, following your passions, pursuing your goals, those intuitive nudges, they'll become clearer, more reliable.
It's like by staying true to yourself, making action, you're fine-tuning that inner compass.
Precisely. It's interesting to look at all these 13 principles. From desire to the sixth sense. What does it all mean, really?
Right, we've covered so much.
Well, I think one of the most important takeaways from Think and Grow Rich is that it's not just about money, it's about understanding the power of your own mind and harnessing that power to achieve anything, whatever you set your heart on.
It's that shift in thinking, right? You're not just a passive recipient of circumstances, you're an active creator of your reality.
Exactly. And Hill gives us that framework to take control of our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions, to shape a life that we truly desire.
So success in any area of life, it's not about luck, it's about mindset and consistent action.
You mentioned in your notes you were wondering, how do I stay motivated when things get tough? And I think that's something Hill really addresses.
That's a good question because it's going to happen, right? Challenges are inevitable.
I think it starts with that burning desire, that clear vision of what you want. When things get tough, you got to remind yourself why you started in the first place. Reignite that fire.
Tap back into that initial spark.
Exactly. And then there's faith. Believing in yourself, in your ability to overcome those obstacles. That's essential for staying motivated.
It's that voice that says, I can do this, even when it's hard.
Yes. And don't forget persistence. Building that habit of showing up even when you don't feel like it. That's how you stay on track.
So motivation isn't always a constant. Sometimes we have to work at it.
Another thing from your notes that really resonated with me was your desire to make a positive impact on the world, to use your skills for something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, that's something that's really important to me.
And Hill was all about that. True success isn't just personal gain. It's about contributing to society.
Aligning your ambition with a real purpose.
Exactly. It's about creating positive change in the world. Reading through Think and Grow Rich, one thing is clear. Hill is a big believer in action.
Right, it's one thing to understand the principles, but we got to apply them.
It's like a seed. Potential is there, but it won't grow unless you plant it.
So what's one practical step our listener can take, like today,
to
start implementing these ideas?
I'd say identify their definite chief purpose. Hill really pushes us to define that overarching goal, the driving force behind everything we do. Get clear on what you truly want to achieve in life, and then align your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with that purpose.
It's like finding your North Star, that thing that keeps you on track no matter what.
Exactly. Having that clarity, that fuels you and helps you make decisions and gives you that resilience.
As we're talking, I'm realizing how much of Hill's work is about perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He wants us to see things differently. Challenges, they're not roadblocks, they're opportunities.
Setbacks, not failures, lessons.
It's about abundance, believing that anything is possible if you dream big and take action.
Which brings us back to faith, right? Believing in yourself, even when things are tough.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. Especially these days, there's so much pressure to conform.
To follow the rules.
Hill is all about breaking free from that. Embrace what makes you unique. Trust your own talent.
Everyone has something special to offer.
Exactly. And once you have that self-belief, that burning desire, that specialized knowledge, that's when you can really create the life you want.
You become the architect of your own destiny.
You know what's really inspiring about Think and Grow Rich is that Hill doesn't just talk about these principles, he gives us examples.
Oh yeah, tons of them.
People who have actually used these ideas, inventors, entrepreneurs, artists, people from all walks of life who achieved incredible things.
Because they harness the power of their minds.
It shows that these principles aren't just theory. Anyone can use them.
It's never too late to start.
So what's the big takeaway for our listeners today? I think it's this. You have the power to achieve anything you set your mind to.
It all starts with that definite chief purpose, finding your guiding star.
And then, using these principles, you can make it happen.
This has been a really amazing deep dive. Honestly, I've learned so much from going through this with you.
Me too. And for everyone listening, remember, the journey to success, it's ongoing. It's about learning, growing, discovering who you are.
Hill said it best. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
So go out there, make it happen, create the life you've always dreamed of.
Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing.